Since the promulgation of the Constitution, 2010 Constitution, several significant changes or a lot has taken place in our counties, in other areas within the county. So one of these is in the year 2012, we have traveled a lot. There was a cassette notice or legal notice that approved the transfer of functions to county governments. Several functions, including forestry function. You remember very well the earlier presenter said, forestry has been under the national government since 1907 from that presentation. So in that year 2014, on August 2014, some functions including forestry that was under the management of forest department or Kenya Forest Service was transferred to the county government. Schedule 4, the fourth schedule of that 2010 Constitution, it lays properly the procedure and the functions that were transferred to the county government, and the county governments under that transfer in that Schedule 4. There are several functions. I'm just giving an example. If you go to agriculture, forestry, all those. So under that schedule, you'll find everything laid down, all the functions. In 2014, immediately after that legal cassette or supplement was approved by the government and gazetted, Kenya Forest Service Board of Management sat down and identified which functions are to be transferred to the county governments. And there are quite a number, about 21 of them. I'm told it has grown up to 30 something, but what was transferred then that was approved, there were about 14 functions. And in that 14 functions that were transferred, there was a legal framework that was developed to guide the county government on how to implement these activities. There was transition implementation plan. That was that time in 2014, and that plan was developed. And all the forestry functions in that, I think I'm repeating. Yeah, the county governments were assigned these practices plus some responsibilities to manage forests, all the forests under community, county government. It was under then urban forestry, private forests on farmlands. So this was their role, and we have met significant milestones. One of the milestones that we have achieved is that all the 47 county governments, there is a good collaboration with them. The Kenya Forest Service, which is the national government, and the 47 county governments, there is that good collaboration in implementing that program. 80% of these transition plans has been signed. It is only 19.2 that is remaining. And capacity building, we are continuing building capacity to these counties to make sure they achieve a lot in terms of forestry. And we have recorded a number of stakeholders because we have our field officers on the ground, and that engagement, there is a great change as well. Challenges, I've just summarized the challenges. It is one area that I can say we are unlucky because what was devolved, the 21 forestry functions that were devolved, a few of them, county governments have integrated them into their county development or integrated development plans. And again, one area which is very challenging, they have not hired staff to implement these activities. And the reason when we do monitoring and evaluation to back stop is that there are lack of resources. And that collaboration, why are we together with the county governments, is that we want to get to that percent tree cover by the year 2032 because of the stakeholders.
Okay, next is Jane Indeti, who will be talking about resource mobilization and even sharing experiences about what happens in dry lands. Karibuni, Jane.
Thank you. I want to do a presentation on farmers benefit from innovative funding model. I want to share an experience of what KFS has done and how KFS has assisted farmers, especially the farmers who are not able to get finances from financing institutions to benefit from this funding model. So my presentation outline, I'll do background and introduction. Then I'll introduce the forest investment facility. I'll look at the types of projects the facility is funding. I'll show examples of the projects that have been funded, lessons learned, and the challenges. So from the background, Kenya Forest Service introduced farmer field schools extension methodology in its services in 2004 through a project which was funded by JICA, and it was implemented from 2004 to 2009. Farmer Field School is an innovative participatory interactive discovery-based learning where farmers are given the opportunity to learn. The farmers normally meet once every week and they develop their own curriculum and they're able to go through that curriculum and they learn through the FFS. So the FFS graduates who gained knowledge through that learning, because the FFS curriculum runs for 1 year. So the farmers who gained knowledge in livelihood and farm forestry-based production systems often encountered serious constraints in scaling up what they have learned. This was mainly due to lack of investment capital, opportunities to learn from the experiences of other farmers, and also the long period which trees take for them to grow and bring benefits. So to solve these, KFS did proposals and submitted 2 of them. One of them was done to FAO, which was funding through the TCP programs, which are normally very short, and they are given very little money. That one was for 2 years, 2010 to 2011. Then the institution also did another proposal to World Bank, which funded another project to communities in Eastern, which ran between 2010 and 2015. So these 2 projects piloted issues of giving farmers credit to implement farm forestry and livelihood projects. So the lessons which the institution learned, which is KFS, which learned from these 2 projects, is what helped the institution to begin the forest investment facility, which was started in 2017. So the capital for the forest investment facility came from the loans which were paid back by the farmers in the implementation of the World Bank project. And the capital was around $750,000. FIF is currently giving farmers loans, and we are working together with Equity Bank as our partner to give us the financial services which we need, which KFS does not have. And we have negotiated the terms and conditions for this loan with the bank. So we are not giving out the credit the way the bank gives out its credit using its own terms. So currently, the program is only running in 4 counties, that is Kitui, Embu, Tharaka Nithi, and Kericho. And we have plans of expanding the program to other counties in the country. The only challenge we have had is resources. The objectives of the facility is to provide investment support to the farmers in achieving sustainable improved livelihoods through farm forestry and livelihood enterprises. So the program is looking at supporting farmers to plant trees, which we are calling them the farm forestry projects, and also to improve their living standards, the livelihoods projects. And also the other main focus, which is a focus of KFS, is to increase tree and forest cover in the country. So those are the two key objectives. Rural Invest methodology and toolkit is being used by the facility to develop bankable investment project proposal. Rural Invest is a methodology which has been developed by FAO, and you are able to develop a project looking at the costs which are involved in the project. You are also able to assess and see whether the project is profitable or it's not. So that is the methodology which the facility is using to develop the project proposals which are being funded. So currently, to date, since the inception of FIF, over 2,000 project proposals have been developed, and of which 1,900 have been funded and 1,695 farmers have benefited. The organization has been able to disburse 127 million 140,500 Kenya shillings, and this has been given to 1,695 farmers by June this year. And the loans repayment currently stand at 109 million 354,89, which is an average of around 86 as at June of this year. And this repayment, we are saying it's 86%. It's considering even the loans which have been given as late as at June this year, and they are due to be repaid up to May of 2026. So a total of 645 hectares of woodlots, fruit orchards have been established, that 2 tree nurseries have been supported, which have produced over 5,000 seedlings, which have been planted, and this translates to 5,000 hectares of trees and fruits planting. Then we have livelihood projects of 1,695, which have been supported. So this is an example of the projects which have been funded. The examples are forestry enterprises. We have the woodlots for timber, fuel wood, fruit orchards, fodder banks, and fruit and tree nurseries. We have livestock enterprises, agricultural crop production, and supporting livelihoods like businesses, shops, timber yards, hotels, petrol stations, and small businesses which the farmers normally run. So I'll just pass through very fast examples of the projects we have funded. This is a woodlot. This one is 3 years, 9 months in Kericho. This is another one for 3 years, 9 months, also in Kericho, to show that trees have been planted by farmers. This is the woodlots project. This is another example also in Kericho of a plantation of one of the beneficiaries and the trees that have been planted. And this is still in Kuresoi South in Kericho. These trees were planted in 2017. This was, the time I took the photo was around 4 years, 8 months. This is still in Kericho. This is Cyprus. We have another one for Cyprus still in Kericho. We have this one for 4 years still in Kericho. This one is in Mbeere, Embu County for Griveria. This one is in Tharaka, Meru South for Griveria. And this is in Embu, Mbeere South for Melia, for Kensi. And we have now, this is examples of the fruit trees projects we have funded. This is avocado in Embu, avocado still in Embu. This is in Tharaka. They have the farmers who benefited from the first cycles, now they are selling their fruits and they are making money from the investments. Then we have, this is in Kitui, the mangoes, the ones which were planted in the first cycle. They are now producing and farmers are selling and making money from their investments. This is still in Kitui. Then this is still in Kitui mango. This is in Kuresoi. This is tree tomato projects. Then the tree nursery projects, I have this one from Mutomo Kitui for Melia, for Kensi. And we have this one in Embu, still for the same species. This one, the farmer has benefited to a tune of over 3 million shillings in Embu for this tree nursery. It's a very big one. And then we have, this one is still in Embu. This farmer, we boosted his business and he's able to export his seedlings to Sudan. and Rwanda. It is a very big nursery in Embu. Then we have livelihood projects. We have given farmers money. They have bought daily cows. We have supported poultry farming. This is an example of one of the beneficiaries in Kericho. We have farmers who have bought these improved daily cows. This is another beneficiary of the program with daily farming. He's now doing a very big farm and he's selling his milk to Chuka University currently. He's doing very well. He's the same farmer. And we also support this for livelihoods and lessons learned. We have learned provisions of incentives to small-scale farmers can lead to improved livelihoods and increased tree cover. We have also learned that forest incentives can introduce the unbankable. You know, those small-scale farmers who are not able to work in a bank and get loans. So forest incentives can introduce the unbankable population to banking, where they can now grow to be financial borrowers of these institutions. And then capacity building of beneficiaries in financial literacy and development of bankable project proposals have been key drivers in achieving what we have achieved under FIF. Challenges, weather, especially in the eastern region of the country, we have had erratic and insufficient rains, which normally is affecting the survival of the forestry enterprises. We have tough economic times, especially after COVID. We got challenged in terms of loan repayment from our beneficiaries. Then we have limited capital, which is inhibiting the program from spreading to other counties. So thank you.
I'm grateful that we have come to this level. It's what small-scale farmers need. Thank you very much for that. The next presenter is Oscar. Oscar's Manto. Karibuni.
So good afternoon. Mkopoa. I'll make a presentation on partnerships and resource mobilization on behalf of our Senior Deputy Chief Conservator of Forests, Madam Zipporah Toroitich. In all this work, we need money, isn't it? Hii kazi yote tunahitaji pesa. And how do we get the money? We have to make partnerships, meaningful partnerships that are going to assist the service so that we reach more and more people. So I will look at forest sector reforms in Kenya and emerging partnerships in forestry development. And the outline of this presentation is, I have a small introduction, forest sector reforms in Kenya and emerging partnerships in forestry development, emerging partnerships, opportunities and alignment, and tough questions that we need to ask ourselves around policy challenges for debates or deeper critique. As an introduction is that Kenya's forestry sector has undergone significant reforms driven by the need to address pressing challenges such as deforestation, weak governance, and climate change. And the reason why we talk of reforms is that the people's needs keep changing, yeah? People will have a need today, and tomorrow they will have a different need. And so you have to change the policy environment, the legal environment, and you have to respond to that because it is critical so that you're in tandem with the people. The reforms have included decentralization, policy updates, and participatory forest management, which have paved the way for emerging partnerships. And these partnerships include public-private partnerships, PPPs, community engagement, international cooperation, and these are critical for promoting sustainable forest management and development. And the use of technology and innovation has also enhanced transparency, efficiency, and sustainability in the sector. So this small introduction tells you that all the emerging needs within the sector have to be addressed either through some policy reform or through legal reforms. Then, of course, we have to build on gains that have been made in addressing challenges such as coordination difficulties, elite capture, and balancing commercial interests with ecological sustainability. So by strengthening multi-stakeholder partnerships, policy coherence, and sustainable financing models, which actually Jen has talked about, the sustainable financing model so that our farmers are able to access, the tree growers are able to access money, Kenya can scale up reforestation and afforestation efforts, ultimately contributing to a more sustainable and resilient forestry sector. The historical context of the forest sector reforms. You were told by our first presenter that forestry has been alive since 1907? Pre-colonial time up to now. So over that time, up to now, we have had many, many challenges and of course, many, many changes. But one is that we have had challenges in illegal logging, deforestation, and weak governance of the sector. And some drivers of reform include climate change, economic development, community rights, sustainable management. And I'll talk about community rights because this is where an area where sometimes we find problems when working with the communities. That our constitution is guaranteeing our communities some basic rights, which we have to respect even in our programs. Then some of the key forest sector reforms in Kenya include decentralization and the evolution of forest management to county government, which Dr. Kipto actually has ably expounded. Policy and legislative reforms, Forest Conservation Management Act 2016, and updates to the forest policies. And you should know that we have a new forest policy 2023. Then we have strengthening regulatory frameworks for sustainable forest use and conservation, and introduction of participative forest management models involving communities. So we don't want to leave the communities behind in whatever we do in the sector. Then we have had institutional reforms and capacity building, restructuring Kenya Forest Service so that we have improved efficiency and transparency, enhanced monitoring and enforcement mechanism using technology, e.g. GIS and drones. We are using a lot of GIS and drones. Capacity building for forest officers and local communities, especially on engaging local communities. You know, we have to de-school our staff so that they're able to engage positively with the local communities, and that's critical. Then there are also emerging public-private partnerships, PPPs, collaboration between government and the private sector in commercial forestry, the role of private investors in sustainable timber production and value chain development, and innovation in financing forestry, including green bonds and carbon financing. And you know, what's happening is that the issue of carbon financing is becoming a hot topic, a real hit. Yeah? And people have to take advantage of it. Of course, we have also community and indigenous people's participation, recognition of community forest associations and their legal status as the official vehicles that we use as entry points to the community, benefit sharing mechanisms to incentivize conservation, integrating indigenous knowledge into sustainable forest management. It is critical that we think about what the people used to do and how they did things. Then we are also international and regional partnerships, Kenya's engagement with international partners, the UN RED, the FAO, World Bank, and climate funds. All these are supporting our programs. Regional cooperation within East Africa for cross-border forest conservation. If you have gotten any cross-border forest issues, we have to address that. And then technical and financial support for climate-smart forestry practices. Then, of course, other reform areas have included technology and innovation partnerships, adoption of remote sensing and blockchain for forest resource transparency, use of mobile platforms for real-time reporting and community engagement. My colleague who has come will talk maybe about on forest governance and how we are using real-time information on innovative seedling production and agroforestry technology transfer. Challenges and risks that we face, coordination difficulties among multiple stakeholders, risk of elite capture and marginalization of vulnerable groups, and that's why we don't want to do that. That's why we think of which innovative funding mechanism can we use and include that in our policies. Balancing commercial interests with ecological sustainability. Then what is the future outlook and policy recommendations? Strengthening multi-stakeholder partnerships for landscape level restoration. You know that Kenya has pledged to restore 5.1 million hectares, and we cannot do that one alone as a service. Then enhancing policy coherence between forestry, agriculture, and environmental sectors. That's very critical. Promoting sustainable financing models to scale up reforestation and afforestation. And there are strategic and reform-oriented issues that we have to think about: re-imaging forest governance through devolved structures, shift from centralized control to county-level forest management that recognize the local realities and rights under Article 69 of the Constitution, reform forestation management to be accountable to both KFS and county environment committees. Reimaging forest governance through devolved structures, we still need to shift from centralized control to county-level forest that recognize local realities and under rights article under Article 69 of the Constitution. This article is what actually gives our communities rights. Then reform forestation management to be accountable to both KFS and county environment committees. Then land tenure clarity as a reform trigger. In Kenya, we have got our tenure system. Yeah, we have public forests, we have community forests, and we have private forests. That's our tenure system for forest management. And we have to understand this. Then introduce land use zoning. Then other strategic areas is reform current concession and PP models to require mandatory free, prior and informed consent, particularly in forest-rich counties. Publish concession details publicly for transparency and accountability. And on audit and evaluation of plantation forest and concession, we need to commission an independent audit of commercial forest plantations under concessions to evaluate productivity, fairness of royalties, and compliance with sustainability metrics. Then review legality and outcomes of leases issued in the last 10 years. Then we also need to establish a national forest investment facility like a green bank to blend public, private, and donor funds for reforestation and agroforestry development. And then leverage on Article 6 of the Paris Agreement for carbon trade reforms, ensure transparency in carbon credit ownership, benefit sharing, and verification. This area of climate, of carbon trade has a lot of issues, and we have got a new regulation on that that has been done by our ministry. So people should also take advantage of, and also we need to educate the people to understand what those regulations say. Then we have to embed forestry as a core pillar in CIDPs and climate action plans, and we have a lot of this work going on among the counties. Then we have to form county forest alliances that work with development partners, e.g. the EU, FAO, UNEP, to mobilize funding and technical expertise. Counties can also do their proposals to these funders. Yeah, it's not only exclusively the national government. Then county governments as primary forestry actors. That's very critical because that's where the rubber meets the road. Expand partnership with sawmills, construction companies, and timber traders for certified value-added forest products. And then promote partnerships with technical farms and startups to map, monitor, and report on forest cover using AI, drones, AI is artificial intelligence, drones, and blockchain for carbon credit traceability. Then we have to think about women and youth in forest enterprises. Then maybe this is the last slide, that we need to establish county-level carbon finance frameworks that protect communities and clearly define benefit sharing. Then partner with organizations like the Red Plus, LEAF, Coalition, and the Vera system with the Kenya's own safeguards and legal priorities. What are the critical things we need to think deeply about? One, why do most forest concessions benefit elite actors and exclude local communities? We have to think about that. That's what you're talking about, the elite capture. Are KFS and Ministry of Environment structurally capable of managing carbon and timber economies simultaneously? Or is it a new institutional framework needed? We have to think critically about that. Should counties be allowed to independently generate revenue through carbon finance and timber levies? We have to think critically about that. Can Kenya's forest sector be self-sustaining without a reliance on donor funding and NGO-driven partnerships? We'll discuss that. And why has in the Forest Conservation and Management Act been fully implemented, including formation of the Forest Tribunal and stronger enforcement of legal logging bans? So on behalf of Madam Sipora, thank you very much. Asanteni sana.
So I want to introduce Mr. William Lebo. He is the Deputy Commandant, Forest Protection and Security. Kulinda msitu kabisa. He is a security management expert, over 23 years experience. Karibuni.
Delegates, colleagues, good afternoon. Hamjambo. My name is Wilson Lebo, as I've already been mentioned by my friend here. Sorry to have come late because I had some other commitments. And in the program, it was indicating the side event will happen tomorrow. So I did not see the changes. So, but all in all, I'm here. Somebody project the presentation. This is the outline of my presentation. Some of the items here have been covered by the previous presenters. So I'll just jump over. The establishment of KFS has already been covered by Karaoke. Mandate of Kenya Forest Service, I think, is already covered. Vision and mission. This is how we are distributed nationally. We have 10 conservancies or 10 conservation areas. This is the structure of Kenya Forest Service. Yeah, I'm putting this one because we are talking about governance. So governance starts from the setup of Kenya Forest Service, moving downwards up to the smallest unit of our administration. These are our key directorates. We have a Directorate of Forest Conservation and Management, Strategy, Partnership, and Resource Mobilization, Corporate Services, and the Directorate of Forest Protection and Security. This is where I will dwell on. I will dwell on a lot on this directorate. The mandate of the directorate: security function of KFS is domiciled under the Directorate of Forest Protection and Security, which is established under Section 16 of Forest Conservation and Management Act 2016. The unit or the directorate is uniformed and disciplined. The entire staff of the directorate, all of them are uniformed and disciplined. The mandate is to protect 2.6 million hectares of public forest, secure key installations, safety of personnel and visitors within our establishments. And in addition, the directorate also provides support to county and community forest. How do you do this? We conduct forest crime detection through patrols. We prevent crimes. That is, we be proactive in terms of addressing issues of crime before they happen. We also conduct investigation and prosecution. Once we arrest any offender in the forest, we take them through the normal processes. We take them to the nearest police station, then to the courts, then we present our case, it's properly investigated, and the offender goes now to the court to be charged. We also do some forest surveillance and intelligence collection. We have a college where we train our officers on law enforcement. Not only our officers, we also train even county security personnel, the conservancies personnel, the scouts in the community. So it's not only our staff, we go beyond that. Our rangers also carry on the issues of monitoring, checking the health status of our forests, either there's any diseases or anything happening within our forest establishment. We also, in case of fires arise, we do forest detection, prevention, and suppression. And at times also we do some disaster operation missions. We cannot do all this alone. We also work with other stakeholders like the judiciary, National Police Service, correctional services, the NGAO, the county governments, the CFAs, and other non-state actors. Now let me come to the key milestones that we have achieved as a service. So within the directorate, in the year 2023, we were able to employ 262 forest rangers, 101 inspector cadets, and 477 forest trainees or forest officers. This has really assisted us on enhancing our establishment. There before we are operating below capacity. In terms of our rangers numbers that we had in 2022, there are around 2,000 rangers. So this big number really, when they came on board, the crime rate was, we are able to manage crime, or crime has significantly reduced now. Our forests now are very safe. We have another personnel who are patrolling all the forests within the country, and the crime has really come down. In terms also on ecosystem restoration, we were able to reclaim and restore a number of forests that were encroached. From the year 2014, we were able to recover 87,539.15 hectares of public forest. And now they are under reclamation. We have reclaimed and we are restoring. Mainly the forest that we have been able to recover is majorly in Mau Forest Complex, that is Masai Mau. In fact, Masai Mau was highly encroached, but currently we have already recovered almost the entire of it. We have also even gotten the gazettement of that forest, and fencing currently is ongoing. Makunga in Saboti, Kirisi in Samburu, Embobut in Elgeyo Marakwet, Cheptais in Mount Elgon. We have our officers on the ground, and they are doing a very noble job in terms of securing, ensuring that no any illegal settlers are coming into the forest. We also do a lot of mangrove. We are well established in the coast. KFS is protecting about 6,127 hectares of mangrove forest against any encroachment, pollution, and illegal logging. The coastline covers about 600 kilometers, that is from Vanga in Kwale County to Kiunga in Lamu. So we have our personnel distributed along that coastline. We are covering the entire of Kwale County, Mombasa, Kilifi, Tana River, and up to Lamu. We have the personnel on the ground. We have some boats you can see. We have some equipments that we do patrols protecting our mangroves at the coast. The other area that we've ventured so much in terms of protecting our forests is engaging in fencing. Before, I think, we are not taking issues of fencing seriously, but now the current regime or the current management, these are one of the major tools that we are using to secure our forest from any encroachment, and also to have what is called controlled access. And every financial year, we have some targets to cover in terms of how many kilometers of forest should we fence. So we have some targets, and that's what we have been doing. In fact, the major areas where fencing is either complete or ongoing, we have the Masai Mau. We've already done 30 kilometers, and we are doing almost another 50 kilometers. We have a Buru, which is complete. We have Menengai, which is ongoing, is around 55 kilometers. We have Kakamega Forest, which is ongoing. We have Karura Forest. I think all of you who have come to Karura, you've seen, is totally fenced. That is complete. We have Ngong Forest, which is currently ongoing. We have Lariak, amongst other forests that I have not mentioned. So this is one of the key milestones to ensure that we are putting some scientific measures to ensure our forests are not encroached. Our boundaries are not really touched. And to put the boundary straight, the best tool is putting a fence. In terms of technology, I think some colleagues of mine have also mentioned we are using drones and surveillance of our forest. We have digitized our crime reporting tools. We are using satellites in managing our forest. That is, there's a tool that we call Survey 123. We also have aircrafts and some aircrafts which we do some surveillance in our forest. Capacity building, we have a project which is ongoing, and it's really doing a lot in terms of coming up with some equipments to ensure that we manage we manage forest fires. It is coming up with the fire engines, fire detection masts, troop carriers, digital communication system, conducting training amongst our staff, among others. We also engage with the communities. We work very closely with the communities. We don't have enough forest rangers to cover the entire forest. That's why we work with them, and the law, our law really recognizes them, Section 48(1) of FCMA 2016. And they're assisting us in terms of information, seedling production, firefighting, and so on. We also participating in this. Our rangers, on top of this is the National Tree Growing Restoration Campaign of 15 billion trees by 2015. Our rangers or officers are participating, ensuring by seedling production, planting, and securing this is the most critical, securing the planted areas to ensure maximum survival and encourage natural regeneration. Without our rangers, what we have planted will go to waste. So they are playing a very big role to ensure that the survival rate is maximum. We have the canine units, especially in the equatorial sites, entry points. We also embrace the human rights approach. Without doing that, we can be accused by the communities. So we have really taken through our rangers in various trainings to ensure that human dignity is enshrined. I have also mentioned embracing multi-agency approach in security management. We also have the marching band and sports. Why am I putting this? Because our men and women who are participating in the band or sports are promoting tree planting awareness amongst our communities. So and also it is boosting their morale in terms of conducting their daily business. Challenges I'll just go through very fast. One of them is forest fires and climate change. What is the impact? It will increase forest degradation, loss of biodiversity, and decrease revenue. Way forward, we conduct a lot of community sensitization, stakeholder engagement, investing in technology. Another challenge is encroachment and illegal settlement. The impact leads to loss of forest cover, biodiversity, and degradation of water catchment areas. Way forward, we do a lot of reclamation, restoration, and fencing encroached and degraded forest land. Inadequate housing for rangers. Why is it a challenge? Currently, our rangers are living in dilapidated and inadequate housing, leading to some rangers renting outside their post, exposing forests to crime. What are we doing? We are seeking a lot of support from the national government and also from other willing partners. Another challenge is inadequate resources, which cut across all the directorates. It affects our effective operation. And we also, the way forward we are trying to also seek more funding from the government and other partners. Community pressure from forest resources. This is another challenge. The impact is increased dependence on forest resources for livelihood, e.g., illegal logging, grazing, and illegal cultivation. This is a big challenge, especially where CFAs are not very strong. What are we doing? We are empowering the communities through income generating activities and strengthening community participation in forest management, strengthening our CFAs. So we work with other departments within the organization. In conclusion, KFS ensure effective protection, conservation, and management of public forests across the country by use of its human capital, local communities, and modern technology. KFS remains committed to uphold the rule of law, human rights-based approach, transparency, accountability in managing forest resources. Lastly, or in addition, KFS work closely with relevant government agencies, including county governments, partners in enhancing sustainable forest management. Thank you so much for listening. Karibuni sana.
Allow me to lead in asking one or two questions. This goes to Mr. Karaoke, who made a presentation on the overview of forest sector towards the national 30% tree cover. You already showed us the numbers and what you're doing. However, we wish to understand the challenges that KFS is confronted with in addressing the targets that are already set. We're also aware that the targets were revised recently. Kindly, you'll address that. We also wish to know what are the opportunities that are being created in progressing with the 30% tree cover by 2032. It's possible that we have certain opportunities that have been created. We also note from the records, we saw the table, about 49, if not 50% of the area that is going to be planted, these are marginalized or transitional areas. And we are actually in Lake Victoria Basin, where most of these counties, Siaya, Homa Bay, Kisumu, happen to be in the same category. These possibly pose special challenges as far as tree planting is concerned, or tree growing. We could wish to know whether you have any special programs or you have any strategies that will be able to assist us to be able to grow the trees. And finally, we wish to know whether there is anything that you are doing as far as survival is concerned, and whether there are any programs that have been put in place to improve survival. Because we can do a lot of planting without survival, then there is not much there. Thank you very much for Karaoke. Oscar, you have already highlighted, and it was very, very clear what you have talked about. But we wish to know who are the main actors in this sector or the sector reforms, and what is their influence. Apparently, we didn't have many questions for you. The next question is to William Lebo. We wish to know, and you have just made your presentation, what are the challenges facing the sector, governance and security? You have already highlighted a few, but you could still remind us. What should we do, or what are you doing to address those challenges? The next question is to Jenny Ndeti. I was personally highly impressed by what you have seen, and we wish to know whether we have had any comparative analysis studies of the various enterprises to be able to say that into the future, as well as looking at upscaling of the enterprises, the various enterprises. And finally, to Dr. Kiptoo, what are the challenges as the forest sector faced since devolution? You possibly highlighted. How have you been able to address those challenges? Let's give the presenters that opportunity to be able to address this. Then we'll also give you an opportunity. If there is an answer that possibly is not very clear, we will still request that the presenter could be able to possibly expound further. Let's start with Karaoke. It's working? It's okay.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, moderator. I wish to appreciate that feedback, and of course the issues that you have raised. That should be able to give us a better focus in terms of the various issues that we need to address in terms of forestry. Your first question or issue was about how the challenges that we are facing with the new targets that have been set. I know of course I want to cover that right from the initial projection of the Devolution 2030 of 10% cover, and of course, the constitution. Then, of course, it was also revised through beta into 30% tree cover by 2032. And what we are, and of course, there is the aspect of even individual targets by various sectors. One of the key issues that I would want to look at is the reason why we needed to move the target from 10% in the constitution to even the 30% is because after some studies were done, it was realized that we have over 10.6 million hectares that require rehabilitation. And of course, that will call for more enhanced tree growing so that we can be able to achieve a remarkable forest and tree cover. And that's why those targets were pushed up. And we also have also brought on board sectors, stakeholders, community forest associations, and companies, including banks, and maybe Jane will also later tell you that we even have the financial world supporting the Kenya Forest Service. We have like an asset called the NCBA in Karura. We have another one. We have like other government bodies like Kula, Kenya, that are supporting city production. And various Safaricom is also there. So we are trying to make sure that we have sufficient number of sittings that can be able to meet our targets. So we have the targets, but we also have the challenge. We have the strategies that will enable us to meet those targets. Of course, finance is still an issue, and that's why we have a resource mobilization strategy as a directorate, such that is able to link up with the private sector and the various stakeholders, so that we can bridge the gap between what the government can be able to provide and what we'll be able to get from the other stakeholders. Of course, PPPs are also critical in that, so that will push us to ensuring that we achieve those targets. So the main challenge, of course, is there's some aspect of financing. Of course, climate change factors are also there. Sometimes when you can raise the sufficient number of seedlings, plant them, but of course the dry seasons come in. So we are doing a lot in terms of what we have done with the private sector and stakeholders. We have what we call a framework for collaboration, an instrument that we sign with them, and that and of course there is another one that we call we engage them with them in that once they adopt a forest area, they are able to be with that area for about 3 years, so that they ensure that whatever was planted is protected and is able to survive, so that after 3 years it can be able to prosper. Of course, the aspect of fencing that the commandant has talked about has also become very critical. We are also working with the communities to manage issues of grazing, and of course we also assisting communities get various benefits like through the Shaba system, what we call the PERIS, so that they are able to get some benefits, then and assist us face some of these challenges. Of course, the opportunities are under the 15 billion strategy. One of them, we are providing a lot of employment to communities. The communities that are assisting us not only in raising seedlings, but also in planting and maintenance. And then, of course, we are procuring some of the seedlings from them. And of course, we also, through the various partners, those partners are able also to work directly with the communities, so that they're able to benefit. Of course, at the 15 billion, then we expect that the areas that have been degraded, and that we can be able to give to the community, then they're able to make use of them through various IGAs. Then in return, they protect them, and then we're able to have them restored. Then there is the aspect of the 50% of the areas that need to be rehabilitated. I think some of them are falling within the Victoria Basin, and I know there has been the challenges in terms of low tree cover, low forest cover within this region, and it's an issue that has been of concern to all of us. And what we have done, through our extension wing, we have managed to bring in even a lot of partners. Like here in Homa Bay, some of these areas like Lambwe and all that, we have a lot of partners who have come in. Kenya Railways are investing a lot in terms of for tree planting. I know Kura is also there. I know we have close about 5 or 6 of them. County government is also coming very, very strongly in terms of assisting us restore some of these areas. And of course, protection is very, very key. That's why, as we have been told, we have engaged more rangers who are assisting us in protection. Recently, we also were able to employ more forest officers, so that now we go even up to some county level, such that now we have a forest extension officer at every sub-county. And those ones are able to ensure that we are able to reach the communities, and then we work with them in terms of ensuring that we have more planting, especially within those marginal areas. I know there are also other programs that are coming up. Like KEWASIP, there's a proposed KEWASIP project from World Bank that we expect is going to come and do a lot within this area. Recently, last week, we were in Nanyuki, and we are developing there's another proposal to also have another project come within the Lake region that is also going to assist in terms of nature-based solutions, and tree growing will be one of them. And of course, there are other sectors and other players within this space here that are working very, very closely with us. And I used to be the DFO Homa Bay sometimes here back, and I can assure you that from that time and now, there's a big change in terms of the tree cover. There's a big change. We can see a lot of trees coming up. So we are doing a lot. Of course, we are working very closely with the communities from around here. Those who know with deforestation, they know there's a very strong CFA that has a very, very innovative enterprises in terms of beekeeping, and with those are the community that we want to encourage, so that they can assist us in protection. Of course, I know, Dr. You have talked of the issues concerning survival of planted seedlings. It's a concern to us as Kenya Forest Service, because we don't want to invest so much in raising a seedling only to lose it while it's there in the field. And that's why we have come up with that particular instrument, whereby if you want to partner with us, we sign with you an agreement such that you are able to adopt and stay in that forest area for 3 years, so that you are able to take care of those seedlings until the time they are able to survive out there. Of course, we also are having various incentives to communities. Plantation established livelihood scheme is one of them. We also having a bit of terrace, whereby we allow communities to combine a bit of farming with the tree growing, so that we are able to ensure that our seedlings are survive. Fencing is also one. Protection is also one through our areas. And of course, using the community, the CFAs and the various stakeholders, then and the community scouts, then we also bring them on board, so that they can also assist us in protection of those tree seedlings, so that they're able to survive and they're able to give more benefits. Of course, we also increasing the range in terms of what we plant. Before, we used to be more traditional in terms of traditional tree species, but now we have gone out our way in terms of bringing in even fruit trees and other species of commercial value that they can, and of course the ones that are even fast growing trees that can give the farmers a faster return or a better return, so that they are able to take care of those trees. So that among others are some of the innovations that we have brought on board, so that the seedling survival is also assured. And of course, with other areas, we actually do manual watering when needs be, so that those things are able to survive, because we know climate change is a real, and it's also affecting survival of the seedlings that we have planted.
Your question was, who are the main actors in forest sector reforms, and what is their influence? I think any reform agenda has got to respond to the needs of the beneficiaries, and that's the communities. So if there is any need from the community, it has to be responded to. But over time, in our forest sector reform agenda, of course, we have had lots of partners from the research organizations, both local and international. And normally, the evidence-based research that they do will always inform us how the sector is performing. Then two, there are international partners who have had very keen interest in the forestry sector in Kenya. For example, the Finland government funded our first forest sector reform agenda until we developed the National Forest Program. Of course, it is during that period that we had a lot of structural reforms in Kenya Forest Service, which were funded by the Finnish government. You remember, through the Mitimingi Maisha Bora project. Then we have had FAO, the GIZ, UNEP, World Bank, the European Union, JICA, And the international partners actually have got significant influence on forestry sector reforms because we are normally informed by the United Nations frameworks on forests. And that's critical because there are some, of course, treaties and agreements that we have domesticated that become part of our own law. And we have to respond to that. Then, of course, we have county governments, which are actually a mirror of us. And normally they'll inform us, I think we need to perform better in such and such areas so that we are in tandem with the devolution agenda and the national sustainable forest management agenda that we have. Then, of course, critically speaking, that the levels of influence will depend at what level. Some have got interest in funding us. Then, of course, we will have higher levels of influence. Others just want to see a performing sector that all the stakeholders are able to participate. So they just catalyze the systems and go away and come back later if there are other issues arising. So I think that's how we'll answer that question in short. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, William.
Thank you. The question was, what are the challenges we are facing in forest governance and security, and how are we addressing them? In my presentation, I've just highlighted some opportunities, challenges, and how we are addressing those challenges. Maybe I'll just re-emphasize a few which are very key. As I've earlier mentioned, the biggest challenge that we are facing there before was illegal logging, encroachment into our forest areas. And it has been a big challenge affecting most of our ecosystems. Some areas, in terms of the community surrounding, we are partnering with them very well. For example, if you talk of Aberdares and Mount Kenya, the stakeholders and the communities, we are working with them very closely. But if you come to ecosystems within Mau, that's where the challenges were very high, and we are trying to manage. Many of them were issues of illegal logging for cedar, for exotic trees, illegal grazing, encroaching into our forest land. The entire majority of the forestations within Mau. Similarly to Cherangani area, Embabut, similar challenges: illegal logging, illegal encroachment, illegal grazing. Same to Mount Elgon, the same challenge, even right now. But we thank the current government because when they came in, the government were given an opportunity to employ 2,700 forest rangers and 600 forest officers. For now, in the year 2023, we are able to employ slightly above 2,600 rangers and forest officers. When these numbers came on board, there before we are operating, I think, on third capacity of our establishment. So our establishment went up to around 80-90%. So we are now fairly better. And that's why the crime rates are going down significantly. The crime rate in terms of forest illegalities is really going down. Our officers are really committed in discharging their duties. At least there before, we could find a forestation which is with maybe over 10,000 hectares managed by 5 rangers. Currently, I think there's no forest rangers with less than 10 rangers. No matter how small it is, the bigger it is, the higher the numbers. And that's how we are distributed. We distribute rangers according to the resource that they are managing. Other challenges, forest fires. I think even if we maybe restore our forest estates as much as possible, and we don't mitigate issues of forest fires, What we have invested maybe over a number of years can be destroyed within a day or 2 days. So we are putting a lot of emphasis in investing in forest fires. Currently, we have some partnership or support from the French government, and there is a lot of work they are doing in terms of communication system. We are putting around 50 masts, communication masts, in 3 ecosystems. That is Mau ecosystem, Aberdares, and Mount Kenya. We also putting cameras, surveillance, so that in case of any, they can detect fires. Any detection of fire can be reported immediately and response. It is responded within time. And they have also invested on drones, plus other firefighting equipments, the troop carriers, the firefighting engines, big and small, the graders, the chop trucks that shreds the vegetation. So I think with that investment and many other partners will join us later on, we are doing good in that area. On top of that, also we are engaging the communities in terms of sensitizing them, not only in firefighting, also on forest protection. So we are doing a lot on that area. The other challenge that is inward looking, for example, the issues of resources, issues of welfare of our rangers, the housing of our rangers. If their welfare is not catered for, it means their performance not be 100%. So we are also working in that area to ensure that our rangers, in terms of welfare, is well catered for. Their housing is good. Their medical cover is adequate. Their movement is, because without movement, we cannot protect the forest. We need good motorable vehicles. Yeah? And that's why we say we don't have adequate resources, but we need at least some resources that can support our rangers in patrolling the forest. Also, we are doing a lot in terms of technology, leveraging on technology. Yes, we can have rangers on our forest, but how do we leverage in terms of patrolling our forest, booking incidences, reporting crime, surveillance, air surveillance, using of drones, using of satellite. We are doing all that, but with support also with other partners that we are working with. Thank you very much. In case of any other question, yeah, you can put them forward. Thank you.
Been asked a very simple question here that since this journey of devolution started, have we had any forestry challenge, or have we faced any forestry challenge? Yes. I can summarize into 2. One is integration of devolved forestry activities into CIDPs, county integrated development plans, and taking up fully these activities. This goes with resources. That is the explanation we are getting. This goes with the resources, finances, and personnel to implement these activities. And then number 2, we have what we call a concurrent function. A concurrent function is a function that is not exclusively for the county government. The national government has a stake. So that is another area that is we are facing a challenge. Like, for example, restoration of riparian or fragile land, implementation of agroforestry programs, development of urban forestry. Those the national government has a stake. And I've been also asked, is there any remedy for these challenges? Yes, there are several. One, we are in continuous engagement with county governments and ensuring also there is a capacity building so that they can embrace and even recruit personnel. And then number two, we are also in constant communication or continuous engagement with the county governments to ensure that they commit a portion of their resources or their budget to forestry programs or forestry development, and then ring fence this money so that we get forestry development in these counties. We are also encouraging them that they adopt the technologies or borrow from other structures that are developed, like the African Union Agenda 2063. They have apportioned 10% of their resources towards agriculture. So we are asking them if they can adopt that model, like even 5% of their budget, they commit to forestry development. That is an engagement that we are in constant communication with the county government. We are also encouraging them that if some county governments has forests for their counties, so we are also encouraging them to adopt a model where they can form community forest association, because it is the role of national government to build capacity to these county governments. So these communities will form social fencing and ensure that this forest is protected. So I think that is the much that I can say for this time. Thank you.
I think I only have one question. Whether we have done comparative studies to compare the enterprises to say which is better than the other one. We have not done scientific comparative experiments or studies for us to say which enterprise is the best. But the counties where this program is, most of the farmers have gone through the farmer field schools. And in farmer field school, the farmers normally do farmer comparative experiments where they normally plant different species for woodlots, and then they compare through a period of 1 year. And then at the end of the learning, they normally pick the best. And most of those enterprises the farmers are doing is what they have learned to be the best. But we have plans underway to do an impact assessment study to know how the program has impacted the communities where we are working.
I think it's actually a testimony that the county government of Vihiga is working very closely with the KFS. We entered into a memorandum of understanding that was in 2019. And through that, I think we've been able to achieve a lot. One is that the county government was able to finance the construction of administrative block, which is basically housing the KFS and, of course, the CFN. We were also able to actually, sponsor the construction of the nursery, and through that, many communities are able to develop the seedlings. Also, the PFA, the Participatory Forest Management Plan was actually also sponsored by the county, and also reforestation, as director said, over 300 acres with a very good survival rate, because we are actually maintaining, as we speak with this rainy season, actually we are spot weeding the seedlings just to ensure that they grow very well. And of course, we have also discovered that since the forest was deforested historically, and I think the communities lost some livelihood. So we have initiated an apiculture project, which I think this is actually 2 apiculture projects with 160 beehives. And we think this is a very good initiative that we are cooperating with the Kenya Forest. However, I think also as a government, we also have some challenges that we are experiencing. And I want to request for a minute after this so that I should be able to share with the Kenya Forest officers so that we can now see how can we then be able to solve these challenges so that we can enhance the cooperation between the county government of Vihiga and the Kenya Forest. Thank you.
We are in good working or cordial working relationship with the county governments in the entire country, and there is a good progress in the implementation of forestry activities. One, there is MOUs We have signed frameworks for collaboration to develop green spaces within towns. Yeah, you saw what happened in Homa Bay. That is one of the green spaces. We are in the process of signing or finalizing that framework in Eldoret, in Nairobi, several counties. So there is that good collaboration. And again, we have worked closely also in preparing environmental laws. We have not taken fully to that stage, but there is a good work in progress. So re-engineering, how can we make these county governments take these roles fully? Yeah, I said earlier in the presentation, we signed the transition implementation plans, and we are also encouraging them to scale it up to develop county forestry programs that can be embedded into the county integrated development plans. That is where we are. We are moving step by step. You remember it was a journey towards achieving this implementation of these devolved forestry functions. So another work which is in progress is development of forestry operational plans, because some counties are keeping on, they keep on calling after signing, what next? The next one is development of county forestry programs, which we are there, and development of forestry operational plans, so that the county assemblies or the CEO, the director, and CEC for that responsible in that docket can get information that can be turned into law. So that is how only we can re-engineer and continuously building capacity. Yes. Mm.
For the counties that are at zero adoption, call it adoption or uptake, what is the problem?
Yeah, you are right, Daktari. We have counties that are completely at zero. The ones that have signed the transition implementation plans, they are 80.8%, and we still have 19.2%, so that we get to 100%. Those are the counties that are at zero. So we are really struggling to get them on board.
Recently, I said we employed some forest officers, and what we did, we ensured that at least we have foresters at sub-county level, because we realized that due to the issues of resources, some counties have been able to employ their own forest officers, but others, because of resource constraints, they have not been able to. So Kenya Forest Service was gracious enough when we employed more forest officers. We deployed them to the sub-county level, so that now we have a whole coverage right from the region up to sub-county, such that for the counties that have not been able to start some of the forestry programs, now they have an opportunity. Now we have officers at the ground level who can actually work with the communities, such that the counties, such that now they can kickstart that process. So I think we are in a better setup, and I'm very sure more is becoming. Of course, at his office, recently even he was able to do. You were saying the one for Machakos just about 2-3 weeks ago. So we'll also keep on talking to the various governors to ensure that they take up any pending. Now we no longer even to call them tips now. They are called forest what? For county forest programs. They take up those county forest programs. But I think you had something else.
Yeah. Reengineering is an interesting subject. Reengineering any system is an interesting aspect, but we are talking about the counties prioritizing forestry as a very serious pillar in our national development. But when counties rank what they want to do, when they do ranking number 1, maybe up to 10, normally forestry is number 10. I don't know that you'll agree with me, those from the county. They will rank food security, water, blah, 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 blah. They will roads. And when they reach down there, they are going to say forestry is last. But we need to do a lot of advocacy on this because forestry should actually be among one of our top priority areas in the light of climate change, in the light of disasters, in the light of mitigating carbon stocks. Within the county forestry development program, we have a partnership agreement that we want to officially engage the counties so that those that are interested will also sign that with KFS so that we have a longer time engagement with one another. Yeah. Then through what Dr. Kipto has talked about, capacity building, all those things, then we shall be able to ensure that counties prioritize forestry. Then 3, we have to continue advocating that the counties set aside some money specifically for forestry and also employ the right personnel to perform forestry functions. An environment officer cannot prosecute a crime that my colleague, Mr. Lebo, talked about. Akienda kotini atatupwa. Yeah? But a forester will do it. So we have to have minimum amount of foresters within the county establishment because those are the ones that are going to ensure that those functions are actually implemented. The 22 functions that Dr. Kipto talked about. If they are going to be implemented, then we must, as county governments, also be ready to inject in some money to be able to employ the right personnel. A forester will do forester's work. Agriculture officer afanya kazi yake, mtu environment afanya kazi yake. Lakini tukikutana boardroom, tuna plan pamoja. Isn't it? I think that is the one way that we can go forward.
On the issue of scaling up, forest investment facility is fully funded by KFS. There is no donor, there is no financier, there is no anybody else who is giving the institution resources. So it's a program which is continuous. But the next phase where we are looking at is scaling up the program, moving beyond the counties where we are working on. So we are doing a concept and selling it out so that we get more money in the kitty to enable us to scale it up. So it's not ending soon, but we are out there looking for resources. So ICRAF can partner with us and we get resources from you, and then we'll be able to increase the number of counties where we are working.
Thank you for your good presentation. My name is Wendy from the Council of Governors. There has been a number of publications over the encroachment of Karura Forest. Is it true? If it is, why is it happening? And how is KFS ensuring that it doesn't extend? In fact, I saw a picture roaming around of the tree Wangari Maathai planted being cut.
My name is Kenya from Nyeri County. This is one county that has worked very closely with the KFS. And I just want to go back to the re-engineering. That my question would be, are there any deliberate plans to actually devolve forestry?
Just as we are waiting for extra funding to scale up the program to other counties, could you consider probably implementing the program on rotational basis? You now move it from where you're implementing to other counties that have not benefited have not benefited from the program, just as we are waiting for extra funding for scale up.
Maybe let me answer the one concerning Karura Forest, and let me assure this audience that Karura Forest is intact. Karura Forest is about 1,000 hectares. It's fully fenced, intact fence, and there is no form of encroachment within Karura Forest. Actually, about last week, even so, the chief conservator of forest actually visited some of those areas that had been alleged that they had been clapped, and it was proven otherwise. So the forest is intact. There's a very strong association called the Friends of Karura, working with Kenya Forest Service that ensure that the fence integrity is fully maintained. The fence has even what we call cameras engineers and all that. So it was just an alarming story, but Karura Forest is fully intact, and even Wagari Madai Corner is fully intact. We don't have a problem. The only issue that would have been the reason that was some time back was the issues of harvesting, removal of eucalyptus plantations, because within the forest management plan for Karura, it is prescribed that every year we at least remove 15 hectares, so that progressively we are able to ensure that Karura forest becomes fully indigenous forest, because the intention of an urban forest like Karura is to serve the interest in terms of ecotourism and other areas. Is not really for plantation. So there is that progressive way that we want to keep to replace the exotic plantations, that is the eucalyptus and other exotic plantations, at least with indigenous forests. And for those who have managed to walk through Karura and seen how the difference between the indigenous, the area that is covered with the indigenous trees and the one that is covered by exotic plantations, there is a big difference. And then, so that the intention is essentially to ensure Karura forest is 100% indigenous, and then we'll be able to ensure that it's well secured. But as of now, Karura forest is at a no threat.
Yeah, I want to assure the Council of Governors, the Nyeri County Government official, that there is goodwill and I can say there is a political will, there is national government will to fully develop this forestry function. And the areas designated that are designated outside gazetted forest, those are farmlands, private forests, individual farms. There is a lot of potential in that area. We analyzed recently the revenues, or the amount of monies that we collect in terms of revenues. They are far much more compared to what is being collected in the national or state managed forests. So there is a lot of goodwill and there is a lot of potential in that designated area that is outside gazetted forest. Article 186 up to 191 of our Constitution defines clearly if there is a conflict, because I have seen it comes in a form of conflict over a resource. And that is why there is this natural resource benefit sharing bill, which is still pending in Parliament. It has not been approved. So Article 186 up to 191, it clearly shows how such issues can be addressed.
The initial cost of starting that program in a county is it's expensive, because we train the farmers for a whole year without giving them loans, issues of financial literacy, because we don't want to lose money. We want them to understand what they receive is a loan, it's not a grant, and it is not government money that they will not pay. So we normally take a whole year to train the farmers, and then we also train the officers. So that training cost is what has been the main problem, because we need the money to train for a whole year, then we give out the loans the following year. So the challenge has been there. Like last year, we had planned to move to Makueni and we wanted to include Nanti. But the government gave zero budget for development. So we had zero. So we could not even try to move to those counties. So that's where we have had the challenge. But I've said we are doing a concept to get more money. Once the money comes, then we'll be able to train the communities and the farmers in other counties. We really want to move out of these counties, because at least them, they understand. They know the cycles, they know this is loan, they know this is training. So currently we are not using a lot of money to get the farmers from those counties. We are not training them. They already know what it is. But we really want to scale up. We would be very happy to be in the 47 counties in Kenya. That's where we want to get. And as I've said, it's a program within KFS. It's not a project which is ending tomorrow. So long as KFS is there, Our focus is to get to the 47 counties, and we hope we'll be there.